So hello guys and welcome back to our YouTube channel All Rounders. I am Bhupendra along with Jeet. Today we will both tell you about the numeric data types and the string data types in details. So over to Jeet.
So guys, I'll be telling you about the numeric data types, and then after that, Bhupendra will be telling you about the string data types, and I'll be explaining through the implementation. So guys, what are numeric data types? In Python, numeric data type represents the data which has numeric value. Numeric data types can be of three types: integer, float, and complex. So firstly, we'll study about the integer data type. What are integers? Integers contain the positive and negative whole numbers in Python, and this value is represented by the int values. Then after that, what are float? It is a real number with the decimal points, and it also has the scientific notations. Then what is the complex number in Python? Complex number is a number which has a real and an imaginary part. It is represented by the complex class, and it takes the form a plus bj in Python. That was all about the numeric data types.
So guys, from here I will tell you about the string data types. So what are the string data types? It is a collection of the one or more characters. And strings are the bytes that representing the Unicode characters, and there are no character data types here. Guys, in the C++ and Java we have the character data type, but in the Python we don't have any character data type. We have the string data type, and we can represent the string by using the single quotes, and by using the double quotes, and by using the triple quotes. So now we have the formatting strings using the escape sequences. So what are the escape sequences? You can use two or more specially designated characters within a string to format a string or to perform some common operations on them. And these characters are known as the special escape sequences. So here are some of the escape sequences. First is the slash n. What is the use of the slash n? It breaks the string into a new line. Then we have the slash t. It adds a horizontal tab, which means if you write any line, and then in the next line you again write some line, and if you want to join them, then you use the slash t. We will tell you about this in the implementation part. Next, we have the double slash. This is used to print a backslash. Then we have the slash with a single quote. This prints a single quote in the line. Then we have the slash with double quotes. This prints a double quote in the line. Then we have the slash a. Guys, it makes a sound like a bell, and in some laptop it doesn't work. But if you run these escape sequences in the command prompt, maybe it works. Now we have the string operators. So there are various string operators. Like in the previous video, you have seen the arithmetic operations on the numeric data type. Now we have the string operations. So we cannot use the addition operation. We use the concatenation operation. The concatenation operation, it appends the second string to the first, which means that it joins two strings, and it uses the operator plus. Then we have the repetition operator. The repetition operator is the operator which is used to repeat the same string many times. Guys, it concatenates multiple copies of the same string, and then it uses the symbol asterisk. Then we have the slice function. So what does a slice function does? It gives the character at the given index, and it uses the operator square brackets. In the square brackets you give the index number, and in the output the interpreter will give you the word which is on that index. Then we have the range slice. It fetches the character in the range specified by two index operands separated by a colon, and it uses the symbol square brackets with a colon sign. Guys, if the first operand is omitted, or we can say if extracted, the range starts at the zero index. And if the second operand is omitted and extracted, then the range goes up to the end of the string. And The slice starts at the first index. The slice ends on one index before the second index, that is value of the index minus 1. For example, if you have a string of total index of the 9 and you want the whole string in ones, then you will, in the range slice, you will write square bracket starting, then 0, then column up to 10, because it takes the 10 minus 1, which is the 9. So that in that way, it will take the whole string. Then we have the other string operators like in membership. It returns the true if a character exists in the given string. Suppose if you have a string like my name is Bhupendra, and then you then in the interpreter you use this in membership function, and if you find the my in that string, then it will return you true because my name is Bhupendra, my is present there, and it uses the operator square brackets with in. Similarly, there is a not in membership. It is just like similar the membership function. It returns the true if a character does not exist in the string, and it uses the symbol not in with the round brackets. Then we have the methods of the string processing. As guys, there are various methods, and we will discussing each of them one by one. So let's start with that. First method is the capitalize method. Guys, this method converts the first character of a string to the uppercase letter. Then we have the upper method. This method converts all the lowercase characters to the uppercase characters. Like if you have a word like Jeet, and all the words are in the lowercase, then by using the upper, you can convert all the words in the uppercase. Then we have the lower. This method converts all the uppercase letters to the lowercase letters. Sorry. Then we have the title. This method converts the first letter of each word into a uppercase letter. Don't worry about these new concepts, guys. We will tell you and teach you how to use them in the implementation part later. Then we have the find function. Pay attention to this, guys. This method finds the first occurrence of a substring in a given string. And if that substring is not found in the given substring, then it will return -1. And we have the index, and this is just similar to the find function, as if a given substring is present there, then it will give you output. But if that substring is not present in the given string, then it will throw you an error that the substring is not found there. Then we have the count function. This method returns the total number of the substrings occurred in a string. Like we have a dog is a string, and there are total 4 words. Then by using the count function, you can calculate how many words are there in the string. Then we have the is alpha. This method returns the true if all the characters in a string are the alphabet. So now guys, we have the is digit. This method returns the true if all the characters in a string are the digits, which is from the 0 to 9. Suppose in a variable, you store a string, and in that string, you write a number like 999966. And if you use the is digit function, then it will return you true. And if any single word is present there, then it will returns the false. Then we have the is lower. This method returns the true if all the characters in a string are lowercase characters. And we have the finally is upper method. This method returns the true if all the characters in a string are the uppercase letters. So now guys, that's all about the theory part. Now we will move on to the implementation part, and Jeet will tell you about the implementation part.
So guys, welcome to the implementation part. So firstly, I'll be telling you about the numeric data types. So let's first take example of integer variables. Let's start. So I'm taking a variable a and storing value 10 in it. Then another variable b, and I'm storing value 20 in it. Now let's add them. See, the answer is 30. As a was 10 and b was 20, the answer is 30. and it comes in the form of integer as both the variables were integer variables. So now let's move on to the float variables. Let's change the values of a and b and store float data type as float data type 20.5. Let's take 20.5 and let's add them. See, now a was 10.5 and b was 20.5, and these both values were float types. So the answer also comes in the form of decimal points like 31.0, not just 31. Now let's move on to complex numbers. Let's store a complex number with the name comp1, and syntax you all know. It's a plus bj. Now let's store another complex number, sorry, with variable name comp2, 7 plus 8j. Let's add them. See, the answer comes 12 plus 14j. So in complex numbers, what it is doing is it is adding the real number separately and the imaginary part separately. So 5 plus 11, that is 12, and 6j plus 8j is 14j. So the combined answer is 12 plus 14j. So that was all about the numeric data types, and you can also practice different operations on these, and we have also taught you different operations in the previous video. So now let's move on to string data types. So let's store some string values in a variable a. I am storing my name. Okay, now I'm taking another variable b and I'm storing Bhupendra's name as well. We would be needing two variables as there are multiple functions to be implemented. So yeah, so we have declared these variables. Now firstly I'll be concatenating these string variables. Let's concatenate and check what result it prints. See, it has concatenated these both strings, and the result is Jeet Bhupendra combined with no spaces in between. The next method is repetition. Let's check repetition in Python. Now I'll be multiplying my name. Now I'll be printing my name 3 times. So I'll be using the asterisk operator. Okay, let's write a into 3. See, my name is being printed 3 times. So the next one is not the slice function. So as Bhupendra told you, we use slice function to print certain character in a string. So let's use it. I'm writing the variable name, and I'm writing certain integer. Let's write 2 and check what it prints. E. So basically it's printing E. So in my name, as you can see, there are 4 characters: J, double E, and T, and I've given the integer 2. So as you move on, like see this string at 0th position it is J, at first position it is E, at second position it is also E. So when I wrote A and square brackets, and inside that I wrote 2, so this is printing E. So that was about the slice function. Then let's move on to the range slice. Range slice is a bit different. In slice function we were only able to print single characters, but if you want to select combination of characters in the string, we use range slices. Let's check how it works. So I'll be giving 2 parameters over here, where like where to start and where to end. So let's give 2, and no, let's take Bhupendra's name because it's a bit longer. It's a bit longer. So let's take B, and I'll be writing 2, then I'll giving slice, then 3. So I have written 2 and 3. So what it will do is it will start from the second index position and it will go till 3 minus 1. That is 2 only. So it will print only one character, because at 0th position it's B, then first is H, then at 2 it's U, and at 3 it's P. But in range slice, as Bhupendra has told you, that it prints till n minus 1. The second parameter is n minus 1. So that was all about range slice. Let's go to in membership. Let's try what is in membership. So now I'll write A in B. So it's printing false. This is because A is Jeet and B is Bhupendra, and as you can as you can see that this string is not at all present in the second string. It's not there. So that's why the answer is false. If I had printed E in A, then the answer is true, because this character E is surely there in A. Like because in my name E comes twice, so there is no doubt about that. E is always there. So the answer is true. Let's check not membership. A not in B. So as I've told you, A is not there in B, so the answer is true. Let's take another example. I'll write Z not in B. So the answer is also true, because the character Z is not there in this string Bhupendra. It's not there. So the answer comes true. That is all about the range slice. The next function is capitalize. Let's do capitalize. So I'll be writing A dot capitalize, and we'll see what change occurs in the string. Capitalize. I think there's a spelling error. I'll write it again. My bad. I know the spelling. Don't judge me. See, I've used the function capitalize, and what capitalize is doing, it's making the first character in the string capital. As it was all small, it's making the first character as capital. Let's move on to the next function, that is upper. I'll write A dot upper. See, the answer comes Jeet with all capital letters. Then I'll write A dot lower. See, the answer comes all in lowercase. Then I'll be taking another string for the next function, which is title. It will give you more clarity about the concept. I'll be taking another string, C is equal to I am Jeet. Okay, so I'm declaring this string, and now I'll be using the function title, C dot title, and let's see what happens. See, what it is doing is it's making the first character of every word capital, and it's in a title form. So that was all about title function. Let's move on to find function. So find is used to find the occurrence of a substring in a string, and we'll see how it works. Let's check it. A dot find T. See, it's printing the index number. Let's write a character which is not there in the string, and let's see what change occurs in the result. Let's write Z. See. So guys, let's take an example of a character which is not present in A, and I've taken that as you can see on the screen, A dot find, I've taken Z, and it prints -1. So in find function, if you're taking a substring which is not present in that string, then it will be printing -1 and it will not give an error. So that was all about the find function. Let's move on to index. So let's take index function and let's see how it works. Let's take j. So as you all know, in my name, j occurs at the first position and its index value is 0. So index function is printing the index value. Now let's take an example of a substring which is not in my name. Index. Let's take anything like India. So index function is giving substring value error and it displays substring not found. But if I had taken the same substring and used the find function, it would have given -1. So that was the major difference between find function and index function. So let's move on to the next function, just count. So it basically counts the number of occurrences, number of times a particular substring occurs in that string. So let's print a dot count e. So here I have written it. Let's run it. So the answer comes out to be 2 because as you can see in my name e occurs 2 times. So this was about count function. Let's move on to is alpha. So I'll be taking a new variable d and I'll be storing some country's name. Let's take India only. Now I'll be checking if it contains alphabets or numbers. And I'll be using the function is alpha. So it prints true as all of the letters in the string, as all the characters in the string are alphabets. That's why it is printing true. So let's move on to is digit function. It will tell you about the digits in a particular string, if they are present or not. Let's take another variable with a string value as 3000. Let's run it and let's now take is digit function e dot is digit. See, it's printing true. As in this string, I've taken a numeric value and stored it using the inverted commas. So now this numeric value is a string value now. And if I'll be checking the type, if I'll be checking the data type of this variable using the type function, it will print string and not numeric or int. Let's check. Class string. It's clear. So that was all about the is digit function. Let's move on to is lower and is upper methods. Now let's take my name only. A dot is upper. It's coming false as all the letters in my string are lowercase. Let's check which is lower. It's coming true as they are all in lowercase. So that was all about the methods in string data types.
So thank you guys. That's all about for this video. Guys, in this video, we have already told you what are the numeric data types and what are the sequence data types. Along with that, we also tell you about the string operations and the escape sequences. And don't worry guys, we will implement those escape sequences in the next video. So stay connected guys. In the next video, we will tell you about the sequence data types and the dictionary data types in details. So stay tuned and thank you guys.